Hi, this is John Alexander. Welcome to the first match with 4-color Delverless. Our opponent likely playing Moonstompy, notably playing 62 cards here. This hand would not be a keep either way, but this matchup makes it much worse. Our opponent thankfully also mulligans. This hand I'm gonna keep, it's pretty decent. I hope I don't have to force on turn 1 so I can spell pierce. And then keep the Snapcaster Mage for flashback spell pierce. Of course, spell pierce does lose value really quickly in this matchup, but it's still a decent card. And I do want at least to be given the option to flash it back with Snapcaster Mage. And our opponent taking their time, they might be streaming, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, just gonna ramble a bit while our opponent is taking their time. Unfortunately, this deck does not have any basics, so we're actually dead to Blood Moon, which is quite annoying. Okay, our opponent keeping, so we're doing that as well. And they get to scry, we get to scry. Deathrite Shaman I think is a card I want, at least with 2 fetches. It's not the greatest card to have here. Okay, so they have Chancellor, they switch decks. Apparently they did. Well, this is interesting, not. And here we have okay, the turn 1 Chancellor protected kill, I guess. Yep, I guess this is happening. This has happened to us a lot playing matches that I record. I could potentially have conceded the game here because I don't have any removal for Chancellor. And now our opponent knows what we're playing, but on the off chance that our opponent does not have Reanimate here, but like land and Exhume for example, I definitely don't want to concede here. I mean, this Collective Brutality still kills us because they take the force and the Dispel Pierce gets countered by Chancellor, but who knows, maybe they do not have the Reanimate. Okay, so they do take the force. And Exhume, Reanimate. Wow, they actually do pass the turn. So here's Delta. Just have to keep in mind that there's Chancellor. Okay. So yeah, not conceding definitely paid off there. They take the Deathrite, interesting. Now we have Spell Pierce, which we can pay for with the Chancellor, or rather we can pay for the Chancellor. And if this is another discard spell, I'm actually countering it with Spell Pierce so that we get the Chancellor out of the way and then we can Snapcaster Spell Pierce next turn. Notably not going to play the Knight's Whisper until I have at least 4 lands, likely not until I have 5. Actually, I can likely never cast the Knight's Whisper because I want to be able to keep up Snapcaster Spell Pierce in case our opponent has another discard spell. And we have not yet dealt with the Chancellor. So Knight's Whisper is a 3 mana spell. Gonna pop this out just to be able to keep it in mind. Our opponent really is taking their time. Yeah, this is a much better matchup, I think, than Moonstompy would have been. And I'm really happy I scribed the Deathrite Shaman to the top. Although I guess I'd rather would have drawn Deathrite Shaman a turn later. Okay, so here's Dark Ritual. And what is this? So this might be a bluff. But if this Dark Ritual resolves and our opponent has... So if our opponent has Reanimate, we cannot beat this either way, because if we counter the Ritual, we can't counter the Reanimate. And if we don't counter the Ritual, we also can't counter the Reanimate. If our opponent has Axiom, not countering the Dark Ritual kills us. And if we Spell Pierce this actually gets rid of the Chancellor, so I'm gonna do that. Of course our opponent might really just be bluffing and have, for example, another Thoughtseize or an Unmask, or really just some useless card in hand. But either way, I do want to get rid of the Chancellor effect. And I could actually not fetch for a red source here, but I don't think that would be correct. And there's Volcanic. Just to not let our opponent know that we have red cards in our deck. This is really weird. Sometimes you don't ever get priority for the Chancellor trigger, so had I not cracked my fetch here, I wouldn't have been able to pay for the Chancellor. Okay, so our opponent does not have a follow-up. That's decent. And there's a Lightning Bolt, so would have gotten punished for not fetching red. There's a land. Deathrite Shaman. So we could play Deathrite Shaman here, or keep up Snapcaster Spell Pierce. I think with our opponent on 3 mana we have to do something, and I think that something is Deathrite Shaman. Because this Spell Pierce loses value, it's completely dead as soon as our opponent hits another land. And not playing the Deathrite Shaman for another turn. Playing the Deathrite Shaman is just so good. And we get punished. Yep. That is quite unfortunate. Oh, we get another Deathrite Shaman. This actually is not too bad then, because we do have 5 mana, which means we can Snapcast a Bolt next turn, and then we have 6 damage per turn. Someone explain me why I never get priority before the Chancellor trigger. That would be nice. And okay, the Underground Sea was tapped, but didn't actually tap. That was weird. Drop Decay, that does not do anything. But we are gonna go ahead and snapcast a lightning bolt next turn. We need another block source to be able to activate both Deathright Shamans for drain. We take 5. Hopefully our opponent isn't really doing anything here. I mean, I still think we're in a decent position. Not the greatest, but decent. Okay. So, I need their land. Let's go with black for no reason. Then I need my own land. Blue. Snapcaster Mage. So our opponent did get priority, but we did not, which is interesting. Lightning bolt face. We could have hoped to just draw another lightning bolt and then perhaps kill the Chancellor, but I do not think that was a reasonable line. Now it's between keeping up the one underground sea or between the tropical in order to be able to activate Deathright Shaman when we cast this Ponder. I think I like keeping up the underground sea. It's more likely that I just drain, and I also want to be able to, double drain next turn. However, we are still able to exile a creature because we have a land in our graveyard. Okay, now we do have priority. It seems to be something about whose turn it is. Notably, we... okay, this is a shuffle. The third jump would be pretty bad here because... brainstorm. I don't think we can afford to cast this. I could attack with the one Deathright Shaman, so what good would that do us? Our opponent... If we attack with the Deathright Shaman, our opponent is on a 2-turn clock. So they take 3, go to 10, we take 5, go to 6, they go to 5, and then they're dead. So I'm gonna attack here, on the risk that our opponent hits another creature next turn, which would be unfortunate, but also perfect combination of cards. They don't have a creature in their graveyard, and they don't have a creature in their graveyard, so they would need to have Reanimation spell and discard outlet. Now they realize they are not ahead in the race. This game has taken really long, and we're actually closer to our opponent's time now because we had some lines to discuss, some combat math to do. Definitely not something you really expect to win. Your board is Deathright Shaman, your opponent is on, I think it was 16 life, and then you actually favored against their Chancellor. Okay, Scalding Tarn. I'm gonna play it. Likely not gonna use it. But this... Oh, actually, yeah, I am gonna use it because now our opponent is on a 2-turn clock. They're dead next turn because we just grab the second black source, the Bloodlands, then drain their entire graveyard away and they're dead. I wouldn't have used it had I drawn it last turn because that would have killed us in the race actually. But now that it didn't attack, these Death Rites are good enough. Okay, so there's Dark Ritual. So one thing that could happen here is like Collective Brutality into discard spell. Or rather Collective Brutality into Reanimation spell. But even then we have 2 Death Rite activations and it seems like they're just conceding. Yes. Okay. Nice. After the first turn, or during the first turn, I definitely did not expect to be able to win this. Gotta bring in a lot of cards. Counter Magic, the Graveyard Hate. And in these kind of matchups, I really like just being the value control deck. Not sure if we want Edict. Maybe. What do we not want? Abrupt Decay. I think True Name is not great. Loam. That's pretty much it, I think. Baleful Strix is actually decent. They sometimes really have issues beating Baleful Strix if they only get to animate later in the game. And Strix also is obviously never dead because it pitches to Force, which I guess is a terrible reason to keep a card in your deck, but there we go. And I guess I'm just gonna board out some Lightning Bolts. So the real question here is, do I want some Edicts in my deck? And are Edicts more valuable than... I don't think they're more valuable than any of the blue cards or Night's Whisper, but they might be better than some Lightning Bolts. Obviously the Grafdigger's Cage Snapcaster interaction not great here, but it's something I'm willing to live with given how good Grafdigger's Cages are against our opponent's deck in general. So I think I'm gonna go with the one-off Edict and 2 Lightning Bolts. Now we just have to hope to not just die on turn 1. And this hand I'm willing to keep. It's not amazing because it doesn't interact on turn 1. But it's pretty good if the game goes longer than that. Both Daze and Flusterstorm go through Chancellor, which is nice. Flusterstorm because, yes, they do get to counter 1 copy, but the Storm Trigger still goes on the stack. And as long as we are not dead on turn 1, I think we're in a decent position. Okay, so the mulligan to 5. Keep. Bottom, and they do have a Chancellor. Do I have another Chancellor? No, only 1. Good. We could still very well be dead. The deck can win from as little as 4 cards. Wow. So apparently they have Deathrite Shaman. Interesting. I guess it's good that we kept at least some Lightning Bolts in the deck. Brainstorm's a decent draw here. I'm not entirely sure what Deathrite Charm accomplishes here. I mean, I guess it beats Surgical if you have Exhume, but it doesn't beat Surgical if you have Reanimate or Animate Dead. Okay, so the Deathright Shaman just attacks for 1. And hashtag skill game. I'm honestly not even sure if I want to play the Lightning Bolt here. I think I do to be able to get the Chancellor trigger away. Yes. Okay. So far this has been working out quite well. Ponder. And all of these are good. Well, not the Underground Sea, it's... I think I'm gonna go ahead and draw the Force and then draw Baleful Strix next turn. Hopefully. Might be forced to fetch here, but accidentally F6 here, which is definitely not the plan. In case our opponent has some shenanigans going on, like Entomb, what's it called? Shallow Grave. If our opponent reanimates the Deathright Shaman, I'm not sure if I should counter that. Collective Brutality. I think I want to Flusterstorm this just to deny our opponent the information. And we know our opponent still has Chancellor in their hand. Collective Brutality is a really good card. I played this deck myself a little bit. Okay, so let's Reanimate. I played some blue-black Reanimator, and Collective Brutality is one really good magic card. Being able to be combo piece and discard spell, as in protection, extremely valuable. I'm not sure if I want to play Tropical here or the Fetch land. I think I'm going with Tropical in case I have to Brainstorm, then I get to keep the Fetch land for 1 more turn. Draw card. Okay, so we know our opponent has Chancellor in hand, and Forces are only piece of interaction anyway, so playing the Deathright here I think is correct. Yes, we do not get to keep our Brainstorm, but how much does it really matter? If we do have to force, I'm going to pitch Ponder, because the Brainstorm has more power if the game goes longer. And we are in a decent position. Notably, I did not actually think of this, but bouncing the Tropical with the Daze worked out well, because we bounced the Volcanic and then played Underground Sea and cast Strix of Underground Sea Tropical. We wouldn't have been able to cast the Deathright Shaman, but now we did. And that's definitely much better than not being able to cast the Deathright Shaman. And our opponent, I guess, pondering their options, which shouldn't be too plentiful because they only have one card that actually does anything, at most. Okay, Entomb. Could that be dangerous? I don't think so. Okay, what is this? Interesting. I mean, it's only a 3/3, so I do not really care. But it is interesting technology, to say the least. Okay, counterspell, great draw. I think I'm gonna eat the Iona next turn with Deathright Shaman, or this turn rather. Animate. Yes. I am winning this race. It really does not do anything, right? No, it does not. I'm gonna cast Deathright Shaman of Underground Sea here, because I want to drain with the Tropic. I want to exile the Deathright Shaman anyway, so our opponent doesn't have any creature cards in their graveyard. And I want to fetch a second Black Source with the Scalding Tarn to be able to drain with both Deathrights, and this way if I actually have to use the Deathright for green, I don't have to crack the fetch. Okay, that was decent. And this is usually how this matchup goes. If they don't kill you early, things go completely out of control for them, because you get to draw all these nice interactive cards and they get to draw a mix of cards that don't do anything really, like Entomb or Faithless Looting, and combo pieces they don't really get to use because you have Deathright Shamans and Surgical and Counter Magic going. Actually just gonna fetch here. It makes the Brainstorm worse, but draining with the Deathrights I think is better. And I was actually mistaken when I said earlier that we only had 2 black sources. I mixed up Volcanic and Underground Sea. Only 2 red sources, one of which is Volcanic Island. So our opponent still has Chancellor in hand, 2 cards we do not know. Reanimate actually not doing anything, so I'm never gonna Surgical those. It's not like I'm gonna Surgical anything that isn't a creature, honestly, but there's... Okay, is this another one of these? Fair enough. More cards that do things. Great. Our opponent is dead next turn, so I'm not really sure what they're looking to accomplish. But as I said, it's really a bad matchup once the games go long, because this deck just is full of great cards, whereas this deck is full of mediocre cards. And honestly, this deck's power is being able to win early and with at least slight protection. Sometimes amazing protection. Okay, so our opponent says good game while slightly complaining, and we win this one. Before what's the word? Sign off, yeah. Before I sign off, I would like to let you know that you can vote on the deck I'm recording with the series after this. The next deck I'm going to play is going to be Spiral Tide, which I'm really looking forward to. And after that, the vote is between Grixis Control, Team America, and Blue-Black Reanimator, actually. So I'm going to link that in the description down below. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you tomorrow with the second match in our League 1 with 4-color Delverless. Take care.